versus Abaji. Kendall, before I come back to you, let me give Prof a final thought on the Nigeria and the West Africa situation and the point around security. So, Prof, how concerned should Ghana be about what happened in Nigeria, number one, and number two, the fact that now Kotoka International Airport seems to have become a base for the US. So since they were expelled from Niger, Benin, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Chad seem to have become the distributed space for US military accoutrement. How concerned should we be in this country, and how delicate is the balance we are striking between being seen as a US ally, which we've traditionally been, and also the growing importance of China, and of course the issues around Russia and the Sahel 3. How can we navigate this?
Well, navigate we should, but I think Festus has said it all. What was missing was the very fact that we need to read beyond the lines. Since the coup in Niger, the US has always tried to find a way of getting back. They couldn't have just lost their base in Agadez just for that, and then Niger controlling the uranium. So the idea that ECOWAS wanted even to go in within 1 week, that was another insane thing. There was no way, and Festus will tell you that there's no way a multinational force can be mobilized within 1 week. But it was clear, as one Nigerian senator then condemned the whole idea and vowed that the Senate was not going to allow it, was that Trump wanted Nigerian troops to go in as if it were ECOWAS troops, and then Americans would have come in, and then there would be a regime change. So all such ploys to get back at those countries that are defying the norm, the American-led norm, is still there. They would always want places. And as Festus said, Benin, Ghana, Ivory Coast are ready spots where they will get their lily pads from where they would launch whatever it is, whether it's assassination or whatever it is. Is it not ironical that the so-called flights that we saw in Paga coincided with the coup attempt in Burkina? So we need to look at all this and know that none of us is safe. So if we play ball with the Americans, we are in trouble. Then we allow us. Ghana has a lily pad already, because I know there is this comprehensive defense pact that we signed includes a small base. I don't know how to call it, but they have a small office over here at the Air Force base, I'm told, where we cannot inspect whatever they are doing. We cannot even get near. You cannot even go there and find out what is there. I don't know whether our military intelligence or the NIB or any other of our security agencies know what exactly the Americans are putting in there. And because it is a pad, we can be drawn into any other antagonistic war with any other person. I mean, like Abaji said, Burkina Faso. We have antagonized Burkina Faso before, when our ex-president was in the US and made it believe as if through Burkina Faso terrorists were coming to Ghana. And it brought a diplomatic spark between us and Burkina Faso. So we can be drawn into anything. And that's why we should be watching. We should be very careful not to allow America to have a military base.
Just a quick one on that. Now that President Mahama is being touted for the AU chairmanship, and with his overshares to the Sahel 3 and his experience, how crucial will he be in managing all of this?
It's very crucial. I know he's a very good politician. Let's be blunt. He's being suspected of being more left, that is, closer to the Russians. This one, I had some conversation in some quarters. The EU, the Americans view him as somebody who must have been supported by the Russians to come to power or whatever it is. So they're dealing with him with suspicion. But Americans come in with coercion and with whatever. They knew Maduro didn't like them, for example. So some pressure was put through all angles, and they will put pressure on our president. What I want him to do if he gets the nod, for example, is to gather Africa as one unit. Let's fight this kind of maneuvering with one fist. But if we begin to make Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, and Ivory Coast in the camp of America, and then others are in some other camp, then we will be recolonized, like Festus said. And the recolonization is ongoing. Only yesterday, it was, Turkey trying to go all around Africa, signing agreements, defense pacts agreements, and building mosques all over. Israel recognizing Somaliland, etc., etc. We need to be very careful. Already the colonization is going on. The Sudanese war is an external war being fought on our soil, for example. So Africa must gang up together and be one, resolute, in the interest of Pan-Africanism. That's the only way we can fight.
All right, thank you. Colonel, let me come back to you on the Niger issue and the aftermath and Ghana and the rest of it. I mean, I don't know, I don't even want us to discuss Ghana's military capabilities, because you discuss Nigeria's own military capabilities in the context of a war against terror. We know what's happening in Burkina Faso, and as we speak, we are still arguing about whether we need a new presidential jet. So clearly, our capabilities don't even compare to that of Nigeria. What kind of thinking should our defense strategists be pondering over to secure the country and also to reduce any threat we'll be facing from outside?
Well, I think you've changed the angle of the discussion slightly, but never mind. See, what I think is that probably in the whole of Africa, we have not woken up to these evolving dynamics geopolitically, especially the technological advances and how they are being weaponized. That as we speak, for instance, just about 7 African countries have got policies dealing with cyber. I don't think any probably has a policy on drones, maybe with the exception of Nigeria and so on. But Ghana is facing threats. Just because the threats have not materialized must not fool us into thinking that our priority should be presidential jets or executive jets or whatever. So I would expect from a paper that I'm currently studying that I'm doing for CBD, that it is long overdue for all African states, including Ghana, to sit down and seriously evaluate the threat, dynamics in and around them, beyond the strategy. Professor Antwi will tell us that when 2019 or 2020 we wrote that national security strategy, it's only a piece of paper. The capabilities, the resources, the enablers that must go into the implementation of the national security objectives, we've not started. We are placing emphasis on things which, are nice, VH, end of service benefits, and so on and so forth, when the capabilities that our institutions need to safeguard our territory and protect our sovereignty are lacking. That if 2026, the Ghana Armed Forces hasn't got a drone unit, that's quite worrisome. Then we'll become like Nigeria, start incrementally, 9 here, I think they got 9 drones from Israel in 2006, but that was ad hoc. We must learn from the lessons of Nigeria and craft a strategy of how we're going to enhance our drone capabilities. Because in the absence of drone capabilities, and I'm not even trying to differentiate, the different typologies of drones. All drones are not the same. The ones that are used for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance are very different from the kinetic ones, which also has different configurations and different capabilities. But we don't have any of them. The few that we had, I don't know the number, which we sent to Boku, the batteries could not even be recharged. So I was told that the drones were there as skeletons, and of course, as usual, a few will crash. So we must get serious with this security thing. Nigeria, among the drones that it has acquired from its external partners, is also manufacturing indigenous drones, which is very possible. The drones that the Houthis use against Israel, Tel Aviv and co, are not all from Iran. Some of them are manufactured by the Houthis in Yemen, sitting in villages. Because the literature shows that you can have off-the-shelf, components that you can use to build a drone, including all the cyber aspects, the AI aspects, and so on. It's a matter of having a policy and investing in that policy. Otherwise, we wake up one day and the threat has already materialized. Or as the situation is now, incrementally, we'll be forced to outsource our sovereign security responsibility to the US. Now, what the US has done, which you mentioned, is that they learned the lesson of losing Agadez and said, okay, now we're not going to put all our drones into one country. Let's distribute them on a large scale and have a wider footprint. So let's go to Ghana. The drones are not in Ghana, but the technological devices, the eavesdropping devices, the guidance and whatever it is, communications and so on, are based here at Kotoka International Airport. And as Dr. Njudansu said, it is not even at that hangar. When these Americans arrive by sea or by air or by land, we have no right to go and inspect what they are coming into the country with. So what they take into that hangar and what they take in that aircraft, which is flown by a US defense attaché, for instance, to Paga, we don't know. I don't think national intelligence knows, because the agreement says that Ghana will not inspect anything that the Americans bring. So the Americans will become our vanguard, when the flag goes up. But we can do it. Even if we have to use traditional methods, whatever, we can do it.
All right.
This idea of how the US is now wielding influence, Ghana, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, and I'm sure the equipment that Dr. Olayinka mentioned will include not only munitions, but also other devices that the US could begin in the initial stages to be monitoring what goes on in the Northeast, the Northwest, and so on.
All right. Thank you for those sobering words. And I'd like to commend the article and point that we will share it on our website as well for those who are interested in reading this brilliant paper on regional security at the brink, US distributed footprint, security partnerships, and sovereignty trade-offs in post-Niger, West Africa. My guests have been Colonel Festus Abuaji, retired security analyst, retired soldier, Dr. Olayinka Ajala, senior lecturer, politics and international relations, Leeds Beckett University, and Professor Vladimir Antwi, so former director, LESIAD, and also of the Ghana Armed Forces Staff and Command College. My name is Bernard Avile. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.